Now, I want you to pretend like this piece of paper right here is Flash animation. Flash animation is an art form that can be described in one word. Flash animation was a staple of the internet for over 15 years, and while the actual program behind it is dead and buried, the legacy that it left behind is still being felt today. Do I dare say it? I'm gonna say it. Your favorite indie animation series would not exist without the help of low-quality Newgrounds Flash animations. Oh my god, she said it. These animations, and specifically series made using the Adobe Flash animation program, are one of a kind, and they defined a pretty strong part of my childhood when it came to the internet. It helped develop my love for animation, and especially voice acting. Flintno Hatina also did the same thing for me, but I want to save that for a whole other video entirely. But for now, here's one of my own flip notes that I made when I was like 11.
Coming. Somebody order an extra large pepperoni pizza with extras. That'll be 20 bucks. Jack, pizza's here. Who are you? We're terrorists!
We surveyed 100 people. What is something you do when you're home alone? Eat? Oh, I'm so sorry. That's incorrect. We're gonna have to incinerate your family now? Wait, what? I have a lot of Flash animation series that I grew up watching as a kid, and today I'm gonna revisit each one of them and just talk in length about why I love them so much. But before I do, did you know that only 3.2% of the people who watch these videos are subscribed? If you subscribe right now and click the bell icon, you'll never miss another upload from me. Right now, I have a subscriber goal going at the moment where if we reach 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I'm going to do a follow-up video to autism in video games. So if you want to see that, then you know what to do.
How long have I been down there? I had the most horrible dream that I was a YouTuber. I had like a slime character, and I said some really dumb things. And now, where am I? Why? I don't remember. This isn't where I live.
We got trouble.
I want you to picture this. The year is 2013. I'm scrolling through the family iPad watching Smosh or Julian Smith. It was either that or I was watching videos about how Mario was a communist. But the point is, I was in either 3rd or 4th grade, and I had the idea to look up anything that was related to a book series I was reading called Warrior Cats. I'm sure you know where this is going. Baby, we built this house of memories. Flash animation and Warrior Cats go together like cartoon review YouTubers and grooming allegations. Animation in general plays a pretty big part in the Warrior Cats fandom, and you will see it in a lot of different projects made by a wide variety of talented artists and creators. I'm getting ahead of myself though. I should explain what Warrior Cats is. Warriors is a book series created by a team of writers under the pseudonym Aaron Hunter. This team of writers has changed over the years, hence why the lore and timeline of Warriors is all over the fucking place. Aaron Hunter has also made other series like Survivors, Seekers, and Bravelands. Who the fuck was reading Bravelands? See, in elementary school, you had the kids who read Warriors, and then you had the kid nobody talked to in the back of the class who was reading Bravelands. Warriors is about these cats who live in the woods, and they are separated into multiple clans, and it tells a story of the drama between these clans, and it delves into themes of fascism, racism, religion, genocide, ethnic cleansing, mass murder, and torture. But since they're all cats, that means it's okay to put in the elementary school library. You got lots of clans, okay? You got Thunder Clan, River Clan, Wind Clan, Shadow Clan, Blood Clan, Crypt Clan. The series was insane, alright? But I'm not here to talk about the lore of the series. What I am here to talk about is a Flash web series that I grew up watching, which set out to retell the events of the first book series, The Prophecies Begin, which is the first 5 books in the franchise released between 2003 and 2004. This series is called SSS Warrior Cats. SSS Warrior Cats was created by a team of animators and voice actors back in 2009, and was set out on retelling the first book series through an animation that took heavy inspiration from 1990s anime series. It was a very promising show, and each episode ended up getting millions of views. They only released 3 episodes before disappearing off the face of the earth.
And you could have...
The SSS Warrior Cats anime only lasted 3 episodes, with the last one being released in 2013. I get why the people behind it abandoned the project. They obviously wanted to branch out to be known for more than just the Warrior Cats people, and I hope all of them are doing well. Apparently a lot of them left due to college, and some of them even starting families, so good for them. Now, the team behind the show were indeed working on episode 4 for a while, but I can only assume production on it got a lot harder once more people's schedules started to pile up and more people started to leave. They were pretty active on Tumblr, swearing up and down to everyone that episode 4 was indeed coming. They were sharing production screenshots, talking about remasters of older episodes, doing charity events. They were planning to upload episode 4 in the summer of 2017. Their last Tumblr post was on April 30th, 2017. Their last YouTube upload was 8 years ago. Yeah, episode 4 isn't coming. I remember, I made a bet with my friends that episode 4 would come out before GTA 6. I have less than a year left before I lose my entire life savings. I don't know, I understand why they stopped, but I at the very least wish they could give some closure to the people who supported this project. Leaving them in radio silence for almost a decade is unfortunate. The series had really interesting and creative ideas that they used, and the team behind it are all very talented people. But let's call it like it is. The series is over. I should actually talk about this show now, should I? Alright, so like I said, this series covers the first 5 books, but it ended up only covering a third of book 1. In the first book, we're introduced to Rusty, a house cat who becomes attracted to the idea of role-playing as a feral cat. What were you eating?
Who?
That was like slop.
They found out whatever SpongeBob was feeding Gary. I love that about cartoons, that cat food and dog food is just glop.
So he ventures into the woods, but then gets into a fight with an actual feral cat named Greypaw. From there, the story is about Rusty becoming a warrior cat for ThunderClan, because StarClan, which is the heaven for the cats in this universe, sent a message to Spotted Leaf that fire would save ThunderClan, which is the clan that is where the main protagonist is settled in. None of what I am saying is registering to the people watching. If it's confusing to you as a non-Warriors fan, imagine how confusing it was for us now when 22 years after the first book, the lore and timeline of events becomes about as easy to understand as finding the identity of the Zodiac Killer. But that's why we have animations like these, where they try to explain the lore of the series through episodic videos. The series from then on out is Rusty looking to prove his belonging from being once a house pet to a leader of an entire clan of feral cats.
I'm Greypaw, by the way. I'm
Greypaw.
Warrior.
I can already tell Greyclaw is like peak character.
He actually is, I'm not gonna lie. He becomes Greystripe. Greystripe becomes famous for offering waffles to Firestar.
Oh my god.
Oh, waffle time, it's waffle time. Will you have some waffles of mine? For the last time, Greystripe, I don't know what a waffle is. Firestar doesn't like waffle.
That was the best video I've ever watched.
And then from there, a couple genocides happen. There's a cat with claws made out of dog teeth, and he's emo as and he kills the main villain of the series, Tigerstar, by literally splitting him in half and watching him lose all of his 9 lives from bleeding out. Scourge is an awesome character, by the way. I can already tell so many AMVs were made of him with songs like The Diary of Jane or You're Gonna Go Far Kid. Now, one of the things you'll instantly notice with SSS and just Flash animations in general is that the mic quality for each voice actor is never consistent. They are almost always either too quiet, too loud, too crunchy, or just unintelligible.
Her wounds are deep, Bluestar, but she is young and strong. She will heal quickly.
And the others?
Do you hear that?
They
It's
will
like
all recover
the
too.
pop filter, it's not there.
I can smell cats.
oh my god.
That was so loud! That was so loud!
The voice actor just figured out if they sit in front of the mic, it'll be louder.
Clan cats always spend time grooming each other.
What?
Day.
They do what?
Not the Onision era.
Bluestar.
Oh my god.
Why would you end it right there?
But it's oddly charming in a weird way. Like, the inconsistent mic quality just reinforces the homemade aesthetic of these animations. You can't get more indie than that. This is what indie animation is, guys. None of that digital mucus or murder doofuses shit. I have not seen both of those shows, and I assume they are really, really good. Triple S really loves to incorporate old-school anime cliches into their animation. Like, there are so many instances of characters making stereotypical expressions. I like to call these 4Kids faces. If you know anything about 4Kids, then you will know exactly what I'm talking about. There's literally a scene where one of Graypaw's friends show up, bleeding and traumatized, because he saw the deputy of ThunderClan murdered in cold blood. And Graypaw just makes a joke about it before hitting a 4Kids face. And it took me out completely.
Than me, I'd have really.
Let's. That's what I do when I
Oh my
bleed.
god,
I
he fucking did the like. What the f? He did the fucking Ash Ketchum again. White Storm.
Why the?
White Storm? What do you mean?
What is the? What's to do with the
Shoosh. F off.
Oh my.
What episode does Graypaw die? I should probably mention, I haven't seen this show in like 10 years, and I also haven't read Into the Wild in an even longer time. In the show, they give one of the characters, White Storm, a power where he can move super fast and control the wind. I don't remember if he actually had this power in the books, although he probably doesn't. Now you're probably saying, Limus, they're f***ing cats, of course they don't have that power. But you don't understand, okay? The Warrior Cat's logic in this universe is so insane that it could very possibly be true. Like, there's a cat heaven and a cat hell, and in those places your spirit can be killed again by other spirits, and you can also come back to life if possible, and you can get 9 lives when you become the leader of a clan. It's not that far-fetched to assume that White Storm just has wind power!
Calm down, son. It's just a drawing.
Now, if he actually doesn't, which is probably true, I gotta hand it to this series because they do a really good job at adapting the source material and still making it original in many ways. Alright, listen, if we reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I'll make an entire video dedicated to Warrior Cats and dissecting its lore. I just learned this while writing this, that every single Warrior Cats audiobook is free with Spotify Premium. Oh man, this is going to be my One Piece, isn't it?
This is White Storm.
I have a confession to make.
Go for it.
I had a crush on White Storm as a kid. Specifically, this animation of White Storm.
One of ThunderClan's senior
warriors. Oh, really?
Yeah.
We are here only to take you back to our camp.
Let me hear you out.
I would rather no. It's just, I don't know, like, tall, broody, like, mysterious characters.
Like, I get it, but...
I was 7! I was literally 7 years old. The gap between episode 2 and 3 was over 3 years, which would explain why so many people were convinced that an episode 4 was coming. When episode 3 was released, they upgraded the animation quality, and now it's in 16:9 instead of 4:3. Couldn't do anything about the mic quality though, that's unfortunate.
Powers. Over the years,
Longtail, can you speak up?
Please.
Now, what makes episode 3 so iconic for me is the Longtail and Firepaw fight scene that was made. Oh my god. After rewatching this, I can see why this episode took so long. I adore Longtail's design in this series. They gave him a power of being able to attack using his tail and... this is so good. This is so good. Genuinely, considering that this was the final episode they made before putting the series on an indefinite hiatus, which is just a nice way of saying canceled, I gotta say, what a fucking banger to go out on. If anybody who was involved with the creation of the show is watching, I hope you're proud of what you helped to create. This series will always be one of the best fan projects for Warrior Cats in my opinion. It's just a shame that it ended so prematurely.
Ah! A cat with such a long tail.
Say that again.
Oh my god.
SSS Warrior Cats could have been something phenomenal. They had the overwhelmingly strong support behind the series, but it ended because the passion wasn't all there. And that's fine. My only wish is that the director, or frankly anybody behind the series, could just give their audience some closure and call a spade a spade. Put the nail on the coffin at this point. Just say that the series is over. Or don't. It's not my series. The fan base surrounding the show is on what I like to call nostalgia-fueled life support. People have long since moved on from it, but occasionally tweets or TikToks about the show will go viral and put focus on it again, reminding people of what could have been. Despite all of this, I still consider this series to be in the Hall of Fame when it comes to Flash animations.
That fucking cat is back!
Okay, so I was going to move on, but then I remembered there's another Warrior Cats Flash animation I grew up watching that was made by one of the same people who worked on SSS Warrior Cats. Bluestar's Prophecy was a series made by Avoy, with the first episode being released around the same time as SSS Warrior Cats Episode 3. The second episode was released unfinished, and yeah, this got cancelled as well.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
This animation is based off the book of the same name, which was a prequel story about the rise of Bluestar from birth to leadership of ThunderClan. It's pretty similar to SSS, and a lot of the voice actors from it return for this project. Now, the one thing that I remember the most about this is that the quality is significantly worse. It's understandable why the dip in quality is there. This doesn't have the same amount of people working on it like SSS did, and it's mostly made by one person, Avoy, alongside some of their friends. They've also said themselves in the description that SSS and their own personal portfolio was of bigger priority, which is understandable. Regardless, Episode 1 got 1.9 million views as of recording, and was a pretty big success. There are very noticeable animation errors and massive gaps in between lines of dialogue, but by far my favorite part of this is the intro. They had a fucking cover of The Middle by Jimmy Eat World, but the lyrics are about Bluestar and ThunderClan, and they don't even fit with the flow of the instrumental. It's amazing, and I love it.
Here all of us are guided by Star Clan, our ancestors. I want to live my own life. But there's one thing you should know about me, a prophecy. It's the reason I'm alive, the reason I'm breathing, I'll survive. My cross achieving, it'll be my drive.
Okay, Limus, now don't let them know that this was the first time you ever heard The Middle, and you thought that this cover was the original song. Do not let them know that. They will call you a fake emo. Apparently with the first episodes, problems occurred with rendering, and that's why a black bar constantly flickers on screen. Which, yeah, that does make sense. Is that fucking Pikachu?
And you could have...
Episode 2 was released 6 whole years later, and it was released in an unfinished state as sort of a closure to not just the series, but to Avoy's channel as a whole. In the description, Avoy apologizes for not being able to finish the project, stating that it takes up too much time that they don't have anymore, as they are now a full-time parent and working multiple jobs. This whole thing just makes me really sad. Not because the series is over, but because of the fact that people like Avoy can't work on their passion projects because of roadblocks like these. Having to work multiple jobs at once while also being a full-time parent and spouse is a lot of work, and I understand wanting to end the series. To be completely honest, I also think this plays into why SSS Warrior Cats got cancelled. Avoy is just one of many other people on that team who are so preoccupied with other things in life now that working on projects like these just isn't possible anymore. That's just kind of the horror of growing up in a way. I think what's important is that people respect Avoy's decision to not continue. There's still comments I see on their videos from at least a month ago asking for them to come back, when the writing was on the wall for over 6 years and people still aren't willing to accept it. I understand why both of these projects ended. I really do. And while I wish the SSS series got some real closure, I'm not going to be upset if it doesn't. And all I hope for is that the people behind these projects are doing well. Avoy is still active online, although just on other platforms like DeviantArt and Instagram. So please, go support them if you can. Go support all the other people that were involved in these projects. It would make me feel a lot better for making this video. Alright, now the next thing I want to talk about isn't really a series the same way Warriors was, but it's an animation that I vividly remember watching with my brothers when I was like in 1st or 2nd grade. Kingdumb Hearts, 14 days and 5 minutes. This was an animation that was worked on from 2009 to 2010, and the person behind it, Roger Van de Wade, is also responsible for lots of other animations that I saw as a kid. I hope I'm pronouncing their name right. Particularly, one of his series that I remember the most is Sonic in X amount of minutes, a series that he is still making to this day. I'm not even joking. The one I remember watching the most was Sonic 06 in 06 minutes. Most of the humor in these animations is just, haha, look how bad the game is. Guys, remember that time when one of Sonic games had glitches? Guys, remember that one Sonic game that had bad writing? Guys, remember when— I still love these videos. They haven't aged the best quality-wise, but they absolutely are worth mentioning. But the main video that stuck with me the most was the Kingdom Hearts one. For some reason, Kingdom Hearts was one of those series that played a big part in my childhood, despite never playing a full hour of any of the games. Okay, that's not entirely true. I did play a lot of 358.5 Days and Dream Drop Distance. Well, actually, 358.5 Days was my brother's copy, and I just played it as well. My brothers were way more into Kingdom Hearts than I was. I remember they made makeshift Keyblaze in the garage. That's kind of the extent of my relationship with the Kingdom Hearts franchise. 14 Days and 5 Minutes, however, was one of the few things Kingdom Hearts related that sticked out to me during my childhood. I remember because the animation starts with Sora killing himself, and I remember my mother got upset because the words "Suicide Wee" became a vocal stem when I was like 7.
Suicide! Whee!
That was a vocal stem when I was 7, by the way.
7-year-old Limus, everyone.
7-year-old Limus going, "Suicide, weed!" And my mom got so upset.
Unrestricted internet access at 7 years old.
Unrestricted internet access is what it led to, yeah.
Why is Sora thinking Walter White?
Sora thinking Walter White! Now, one of the biggest things you are going to notice with this animation is how much it loves to rely on meta humor, and being all, haha guys, video games are silly, right? Now, to be fair, I have not played 358 Days in at least a decade, so my knowledge of the lore from this game is enough to just barely fill a thimble. I'm going to take this animation at face value, and just assume that everything in it is absolutely canon. The humor does get old pretty fast, but for some reason, they repeat jokes so much that it just comes back around to being funny again. I don't think this says anything about the quality of the video, this just says that I need a lobotomy.
Eat it before it melts, got it memorized? Eat it before it melts, got it memorized?
Back on the rooftop, just...
He's eating their ice cream.
Okay.
Ice cream is salty. Yet
Once again.
Yeah,
it's just the same line over and over again.
Ice cream is sweet.
It's salty. Eat it before it melts. You got that memorized.
Got that memorized.
Maxis, my Keyblade doesn't work.
11 days later.
Oh no!
Oh my
god.
It works again.
Cool.
Ice cream? Yep.
Yep. How is this 30 minutes long?
Oh my.
We got it memorized? Got it memorized, Roxas? Get it memorized. Got it memorized? Got it memorized? Got it memorized? Get it memorized, alright? So, you got the number memorized, do you? Got it memorized?
We've got it memorized, Axel.
If I had to compare the humor to anything, I would compare it to a show like Family Guy, where they just drag out jokes for way too long despite it never being funny to begin with. No, comparing it to Family Guy doesn't work. Okay, it has similar humor to Code Monkeys. You guys remember Code Monkeys? Yeah. I'm the first person in the last 6 months to mention the existence of that show.
Bankrupt. Oh god.
Dude, do not sweat it. Ow, what the f, Jerry?
Well, I'm very much sweating it.
I want you.
If this video gets 10,000 likes, I'll do a video talking about— no. The lore of Kingdom Hearts, just like Warriors, is already all over the place, so I feel like if I try to understand the context of the animation and the game behind it, I'm going to end up in the back of an ambulance. But let me try, okay? There's a character named Xion, who's an imperfect replica meant to collect the memories of Sora and Roxas for Organization 13 to use as a failsafe in case Roxas is of no use to them anymore. She serves as member number 14, but because of the power of friendship, Xion learns her true identity and purpose and attempts to fight back against the organization. But she disappears in the end because she knows that if she continued to exist, then Roxas would cease to exist as well. I think. I'm having an aneurysm. I look forward to some dipshit in the comments being like, you got the lore of the game wrong. Motherfucker, the last time I played this game was during Obama's first presidential term. Do you really think I give a shit? I do, I'm sorry. The way they incorporate Shion's character arc in this animation is by having her slowly turn into the Sora that was from Roger's past Kingdom Hearts animations. The animation then ends the same way the game does. Sort of. Roxas kills Shion, and then oh no, the real enemy is actually Zenmus. But then I guess Roger just got tired of making this, and so he just has Roxas get tased by Riku, and it ends right there. Again, I'm going to assume this is all canon.
He was a serial killer who bragged about killing people, and he professed and confessed to be a demon.
Llamas with Hats is a series created by Film Cow. Each episode would consist of 2 characters, Paul and Carl, and in each one of them, Carl would do something abhorrent, whether it be kill a random stranger and eat his hands, sink an entire cruise ship, nuke an entire city and attach people's faces onto balloons, create a rift in space-time, a blood vortex over Paris, you know, things that llamas normally do. Each video had the same joke. It's Carl doing something horrific, and Paul having mild disappointment in him. But the reason why I am bringing up this series and Film Cow in general is because Llamas with Hats starts to delve into some art house shit, and it's really interesting. By the time it gets to episode 6, Paul is fed up with Carl's psycho behavior and leaves him, and after this happens, Carl starts to go even more insane and starts to put a mask of Paul's face on a random sheep so he can continue this delusion that he is having.
Ever could you be referring to?
Oh god,
I've recently taken
he's
up
losing it.
Now, how would you feel if I called
No,
your
for
work
real.
a bunch called modernism? Only I've made it more modern by using
It's
Facebook.
called
City Council
modernism.
I disagree with the
Jesus Christ.
It gets so just like depressing and dark. Of course it doesn't work, so then he tries to win Paul back over, but when that doesn't work as well, he starts to delve more and more into insanity, and soon enough, he starts to hallucinate about the Paul mask talking and speaking to him, and he fully believes that this is the real Paul. The mask starts telling him to complete his work, and as a result, Carl destroys the entire world and wipes out the population, and turns everything into a barren wasteland. The mask keeps taunting him though, telling him to finish his work despite all of it being gone, and then Carl is fed up. He starts to bicker with this mask, and now he starts to believe that it's not even the real Paul at all.
Paul!
I'm right here, Carl.
No, you're not. You're not Paul. You're
Nope.
an imposter.
Oh my god, Among Us.
Shut up! So, he goes to Paul's apartment, only to find out that his mass destruction and slaughter of the population led to the death of Paul. And he starts to realize that he was hallucinating the entire time. We then see Carl one last time on top of a highway. He is crying and mimicking Paul's screams at him, and then he takes his own life. Did you guys know that they made a mobile game based off of this series?
Now available on the Apple App Store, it's Llamas with Hats Cruise Catastrophe. Play as Carl as he joyfully kicks vacationers off the side of a cruise ship.
This show went from a silly dark humor series about llamas wearing hats to an A24 art horror film. And this is what I love the most about Film Cow. He has the ability to lure viewers in with silly characters and goofy videos, but then he will devolve the series into the best cinema that I have ever seen. My theory behind this whole series is that Carl is in love with Paul. And he did all of these horrible acts in the hopes of impressing him. But when it ended up driving him away, he started to lose his sanity because Paul was too important to him. He wanted to be told that what he was doing was wrong, and he wanted to be yelled at again. Paul was the person for him, and when he left, that void started to eat away at him, and it's what led to him losing more and more of his sanity, literally destroying the world in the hopes that it would allow for him to get reprimanded by Paul again, for Paul to scream Carl at him again. But this destruction is what led to the death of the only person he ever cared about. This is one of the first moments where Carl's normal monotone voice is broken, and we can hear him show actual sorrow.
I guess you're gone.
It's as if the death of Paul made him realize what kind of monster he was, and so he ends his destruction with himself. By the way, this is a series about talking llamas. Alright, now I was going to move on, but 8 months ago, Film Cow released the epilogue to this series, 10 years after the release of episode 12.
It's been 84 years.
This was made after a successful Kickstarter, and this epilogue is over 20 minutes long. Keep in mind, the episodes before this were like a minute or two long, so this was a massive whiplash for me. So if you want to know what the epilogue to this series is like, I want you to imagine an episode of Evangelion after episode 16. And yeah, that's the epilogue. Now, the actual premise of the epilogue is really hard to fully understand, but I'm going to give my 2 cents for what my main takeaway of it is. It starts by showing us what I believe to be Carl's first time being scolded by Paul for a crime he committed. After that, we are brought back to the events and ending of episode 12. After Carl's physical self drowned, we get a glimpse into what is believed to be his dying mental state. He reminisces about his first time meeting Paul. He remembers the time of day, the place, and the tiny little details. Paul shows up as an entity in his dying psyche. Carl asks Paul why he left him, and Paul lets him know that he didn't leave him, but that Carl himself left the world.
Why? Why did you leave?
I didn't leave you, Carl. You left the world.
During this entire episode, multiple other entities and voices show up, trying to challenge Carl in his thinking process. Carl thinks about if there is any possibility of him earning redemption. If even after all the terrible things that he has done, there is still hope for him. The answer he receives is... no, what the fuck? Despite all of the destruction and chaos that Carl brought onto the world, despite all of the lives that he took, he believes that no matter how much harm he can cause, all he has to do is ask for forgiveness and redemption, and it will all be okay. But of course, it's not that easy. There's a scene in this episode that I really love. It's where Carl is melted into a puddle, don't ask, and an acorn talks with him about redemption. Carl is beyond redemption. That's not a surprise to anyone, but what is interesting is the metaphor that the acorn makes. They say that there are no real solutions for Carl anymore, and that all he can do is become an acorn, and eventually grow into a big, beautiful tree.
Oh. Do you think I'm beyond redemption?
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't even know me.
Okay, tell me about yourself.
You kind of killed everybody.
I'm an acorn.
What does that have to do with anything?
You could be an acorn too.
I don't think that's a solution to my current predicament.
There are no solutions. Not for you. Not anymore. You gotta grow into a big, beautiful tree.
I don't want to grow into a tree. I'm Carl.
Well, Carl's a dangerous sociopath with a long history of violence.
Whatever.
True. He doesn't want to hear criticism.
He shuts it down though, saying how he doesn't want to become a tree, almost as if he's not willing to accept that this life is over, and now he has to move to the next one. What makes this metaphor so interesting to me is how much it can relate to this predicament. Carl is an acorn, and over time and growth, he too can become something beautiful. But it would require work, care, and attention in order to become a beautiful tree. This is something that I feel can relate to anyone who feels lost and that there is no potential anymore for them to become a better person. You can always turn over a new leaf and become something beautiful, but it takes a lot of time. In Carl's case, he has the opportunity now to become something better in his next life now that this one is over. But Carl refuses to accept this. He says that the only person who will understand him is Paul, not realizing that he is the one who was responsible for his death.
He's dead. How did I forget that? Dead. And it's my fault. I did this. Carl did this.
He talks in the third person, almost dissociating himself from the person he was and the actions he committed. Seeing Paul's corpse again puts all of the pieces together for him, and he finally starts to understand that there is no redemption for someone like him. All that he can do is try again in the next life. Now that his physical self has drowned, his inner mental self is beginning to drown as well, as water fills the room. Carl admits that there is no saving him, but that Paul still has a chance as long as he stays away from him. But he corrects this, saying that it's Carl who needs to stay away from Paul, not the other way around. The room fills completely, and we see Carl's inner self drown as an acorn floats away from his hat. This acorn is then planted by the same hands that were seen throughout the episode. And just like earlier, with enough time and care, this acorn can too blossom into a beautiful tree. So yeah, this epilogue is absolute cinema. Film Cow in general is incredible at what he does, and this isn't his only series where he did something similar. Before this, he made Charlie the Unicorn, a series that is going to be 20 years old this year. What the f? Charlie the Unicorn deserves a whole other video altogether. This was another series I grew up with as well, but I think I can only handle one Film Cow series per video. So if you want me to make a video about Charlie the Unicorn, please let me know. Llamas with Hats is genuinely one of my all-time favorite indie animation series, and I'm really happy that it didn't overstay its welcome and it instead had a Hollywood ending. All of these animations and series that I talked about are really special to me, and even though I poke fun at some of them, I love each one of them, and I have nothing but respect for the people who made them. Flash animation is an art form that really was a product of its time, and we don't really see it much anymore. The closest we ever got to a revival of them is seeing them referenced in Friday Night Funkin' mods. You know what? I'll take it. Now, if you are craving that Flash animation hunger and you want to see more of this sort of thing, a recent indie series I could recommend would be Sonic High School Asylum, created by Roses of Blood. Man, it's always Sonic with this girl. It only has a pilot out right now, but in my honest opinion, it's probably the most faithful recreation of the Flash animation style that was once popular on Newgrounds.
Well, I spent the entire summer with my girlfriend Amy. We got freaky, then we got real freaky, then we freaked a lot. I'd say it was a successful summer.
This guy stinks!
Hey Ames, the guys wanted me to hang out with them today.
Hey, that's okay. I'll just check up with my own friends, that's fine.
And you could... It's just a massive love letter to the animations that defined the genre of video creation online. Please, go check it out if you can. I'll leave a link in the description for you to go see for yourself. But other than that, I've been Limus, and I'll keep you posted from the Slimeverse. Also, you should really go buy my merch. It would be really, really awesome. Okay, thank you. Wait, I have one last announcement. Use coupon code SLIMEBOY at checkout. Thank you to my patrons, especially Pandacade, Ellender, Gabe Neal, and Sleepy Peach. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me to keep making the videos that I want to make. Thank you all so much.
My name is Yuvan.
How old are you?
I'm 4 years.
What is your name?
My name is Yuvan.
How old are you? How old are you?
My name is...